Right now, there are only two things cheesier and more formulaic than an episode of Monday Night Raw. The first is any bit part performance from a pro wrestler in any other TV show, and the other is this, literally the formula of cheese. Unfortunately, in this video, we're going to be focusing on the former. But despite my harsh tone, there is one thing that can always salvage wrestling on-screen cameos, and that is the giddy, guttural thrill of getting to see them hit their signature move. My name is Adam Cleary, and these are 10 times wrestlers hit their finisher in a TV show. Number 10, King Kong Bundy, Married with Children. King Kong Bundy's ties to the 80s-90s staple Married with Children runs deeper than the 2 guest appearances he booked on the show. That's because the show's titular family, the Bundys, were actually named after him. This led to him being cast to play Peg's brother Erwin in Season 2's All in the Family. He just left the WWF intending to retire from wrestling, so it's understandable that the show didn't try to cash in more with his notoriety as one of the sport's best ever big men. The same wasn't true of his 1995 cameo though, where once again under contract with the WWF, Bundy appeared as himself in a wrestling context. Forced to pose as a wrestler to get Bundy's autograph as the initiation test to some sleazy men's club, Bud Bumblebee Bundy receives an in-ring splash courtesy of the monster heel. It's Married with Children, so of course it's hopefully gleefully rubbish, but Bundy would be good value on anything. Number 9, Booker T, Charmed. Now, if you're not as old as me, first of all, congratulations, do you want a medal? But secondly, you probably don't know what Charmed was. Basically just the WB's long-running attempt to remake Buffy the Vampire Slayer that, while not being anywhere near as good, did ironically have quite a lot of charm. Anyway, Booker T wasn't the only WCW talent in this episode. The playfully titled Wrestling with Demons, see what they've done there, sees our 3 protagonists, heroic demon-slaying witches, forced to fight evil wrestlers to save the soul of an old friend. Again, not a good premise, but a charming one. Buff Bagwell makes an earlier appearance just kicking the ass of, this guy, while Scott Steiner joins Booker in the centerpiece for an unconvincingly choreographed and shot wrestling match against the Charmed ones themselves. Wait a minute, Adam, weren't Steiner and Booker in the middle of a long-running feud over the WCW World Heavyweight Championship at the time? Yes, but absolutely nobody who watched Charmed will have known that, so it's fine. I mean, it's not good, but Booker T does at least get to show off his scissor kick finish midway through the scene. Weird fact though, with WWF buying the company out mere weeks after this aired, this was one of the last times all 3 men were on television together. Funny old world. Number 8, Mankind, Boy Meets World. Yes, Boy Meets World was the kind of fun American sitcom where sometimes random things just randomly happened and resolutions took the shape of everyone just seemingly forgetting about it all and moving on. Why, yes, not unlike Monday Night Raw. Season 7's For Love and Apartment is a case in point. For some reason, 2 furiously overacting schmoes have an issue with 3 of their female friends, which is inexplicably escalated to violence. The women have demanded satisfaction inside of a steel cage. Someone flags up that they can't do that because there's no referee, at which point Mankind literally knocks the apartment door down, claims amnesia, and the air quotes match is on. Before long though, Mankind applies the Mr. Socko mandible claw to one of these goobers, and that's the end of that. An interesting historical footnote to this though is that when the show aired in late 1999, earlier in the week Raw had presented Mankind and The Rock in the legendary This Is Your Life segment, which not only ran to about the same length as a Boy Meets World episode, but garnered approximately the same ratings too. Sadly, only one of them actually works as a situational comedy though, but I will let you decide which. Number 7, KANE, Smallville. In March 2007, Glenn Jacobs was coming off a starring role in See No Evil, a cinematic undertaking that was notable for being the first major movie produced by WWE Films and literally nothing else. Off the back of that, he landed this guest spot on the 6th season of the CW's Young Superman show, Smallville. He plays a Zoner named Titan, an escapee from Kryptonian interdimensional prison the Phantom Zone, who gets sucked into the kind of no-holds-barred gladiatorial scenario that only exists on cheesy shows like this. Smallville was and is a bit of a dud when it comes to superhero television, but it was the blueprint for how the CW would approach the shows that made up the Arrowverse. Now, Flash and Arrow all have high-value production and self-depreciating humor, and Smallville, well, didn't, but it did at least have KANE. Both he and the late Ashley Mazzaro get some decent screen time, and Mazzaro in particular pulls off her lines with surprising finesse. KANE's not really doing anything differently here than he would have just done on WWE television, but he does get to deliver a choke slam while looking a little freaky. Number 6. Sting, Walker, Texas Ranger. Now, while all your incredibly boring mates know him for being a living meme, when he does push-ups, it's actually him shoving the world down, ha ha ha. Originally, Chuck Norris was famous for being a middle-aged dude who knew karate. By 2001, though, he was a sketchy memory of the star he used to be, so the producers of Walker, Texas Ranger drafted in Sting for some reason to give the show a bit of star power. Unsafe Speed, one of the last episodes of the show, unleashed one of the, shittest performances by a pro wrestler ever seen on television. Sting plays meth kingpin and bandana-clad biker Grangus, who, as well as sounding like something you would pay a doctor to drain, delivers every god-awful line as though suffering stage fright in his high school play. Now, yes, Walker Texas Ranger fans, you are right, Hogan did appear in the series earlier on, but sadly I've been through it and no big leg in that, so he doesn't make the list. Number 5. The Rock, Star Trek Voyager. Given that they shared the same TV network for a time, it should have been inevitable that WWE and Star Trek crossed over. But given that one was a show about the fantastical and bizarre adventures of a ragtag crew of human and non-human caricatures voyaging across uncharted and inhospitable locations, desperately seeking answers through ropey dialogue and corny 60s catchphrases, and the other was Star Trek, it wasn't an easy fit. But they did it though, and the pre-Scorpion King, The Rock, was the guest star. Playing a Pendari warrior, the makeup for which just involved gluing a Mars bar to his forehead or something, The Rock faced off against former Borg drone 7 of 9, delivering not only the people's eyebrow, but also a rock bottom. Although back then he was a long way from becoming Hollywood's biggest movie star, Dwayne Johnson did feel like a massive get for Voyager at the time. The preceding 12 months had seen him comfortably emerge from Steve Austin's shadow to become the company's hottest property, and it was obvious to anyone watching that a potential career in acting lay ahead. Number 4. Goldberg, Love Boat: The Next Wave. UPN's Love Boat: The Next Wave aired for 2 years from 1998. It is remembered only by people who have to make videos like this one. Set on a luxury cruise liner, the show followed the humorous highs and lows of its hapless passengers and crew. The beginning of season 2 saw WCW's Goldberg and Kevin Nash guest star as professional wrestlers Lou the Pariah Maguire and Rocky Williams, tag team partners at odds with one another over a woman, Maguire's wife. Believing that Williams and his wife were engaged in an intergender match of their own behind his back, the Pariah confronts his partner on the house mic, leading to a fracas. Goldberg and Nash acquit themselves fairly well while the regular cast mugged a camera around them, the scene ending up with Goldberg spearing Nash into the swimming pool. There may even have been a jackhammer delivered to a crew member somewhere in there too, although if it is, it's such a clumsy one that we can assume the boat's next stopping point was Saudi Arabia. It's a good joke, that. Number 3. Lita, Dark Angel. Less of a guest appearance or cameo role here than a cautionary tale, Lita's infamous appearance on James Cameron's dodgy cyberpunk television show is an object lesson in how not to approach this kind of bit part when you're an active professional wrestler. Rule 1, and indeed the only rule, don't poleaxe yourself on your day off. Apparently series creator Cameron, who allegedly stepped in to direct this episode when the previous director read the script and feigned death to get out of it, had misgivings about allowing star Jessica Alba to fight opposite a professional wrestler. But in the end, it was actually a stunt double dropping Lita that led to a devastating injury, not a wrestler ragdolling an unprepared actress. A botched Lita Kunrana caused a stinger and cracks in the vertebrae in her neck, requiring her to need surgery, and Lita was sidelined for 17 months while she recuperated. It's a shame because Cameron did an excellent job of making her look good, and this is genuinely one of the better fight scenes in the show's history. How do you know so much about Dark Angel, Adam? Well, because it starred Jessica Alba and it was on every Saturday morning at the exact same time neither of my parents were in the house. Figure it out. Number 2, Charlotte Flair, Psych the Movie. Now, but before you get all excited thinking I've made a mistake here, this is a movie, yes, but one made for television, shown only on television, and acting as a continuation of the story and characters from a long-running television show, so it totally counts. Psych the Movie is a bit of an anomaly on this list for other reasons though, in that it's a comedy that's actually funny, with a pro wrestler guest shot that's actually worth the price of admission. Although, obviously there wasn't one because, as I say, it was on television. For free. Sporting a black eye from in-ring action sometime around filming in June 2017, WWE superstar Charlotte Flair, and I'm calling her that because she's literally billed in the credits as WWE superstar Charlotte Flair, plays a sadistic henchperson, Heather Rockrear. You get it? Like Heather, yeah, you get it. Making the most of a few lines and her single fight scene where she gets to beat up veteran actors Corbin Burnson and Kurt Fuller and apply the figure 8 to what is almost certainly a stunt double. She's eventually taken down by no less than 3 chair shots though, so there you go. Number 1, Macho Man Randy Savage, Baywatch. It's not really possible to put together a list like this and not have Macho Man Randy Savage at the very top, if for no other reason than A, he guest stars in a 1996 episode of Baywatch, B, the episode from season 6 is called Bash at the Beach, and C, he's playing himself alongside Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Vader, and Kevin Sullivan. Honestly, if you were not alive during them, you will never ever believe how wild the 90s were. The babyfaces, Hogan and Savage, may be playing themselves, but gloriously, the heels are playing heel versions of themselves. So Ric Flair is Ric Flair, yes, but a Ric Flair who's somehow a property developer about to foreclose on the local boys club, and only an impromptu bash on the beach match can stop him. Sullivan cackles like a loon. For the purposes of full disclosure, you must be warned that Hogan does go water skiing with Macho, nearly drowns, is rescued by no less than 6 female lifeguards, and gets mouth to mouth from Pamela Anderson. Again though, this was the 90s, this was just a Tuesday night. After all that, Savage dropping a flying elbow on Flair and pinning him to save the boys club seems almost like an anticlimax. The pun is intended, and I'm sorry. Goodbye.